طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين. Let's start today. Last time we stopped at the rational judgments. So we have some introductions today we have to realize. Is it appearing the screen now? Can you see the whiteboard?
Yeah, I can see it.
طيب. So the first introduction we need to know is the law of the reason. قانون العقل. Okay. So there is one, sometimes philosophers say two rules that control all the reasons, all the sciences we work with. So it's called the law of the rational thinking, of the law of reason. Okay. The law of reason, the philosophers, they are not confused. They are in two schools. The first school says this law, it's called the law of identity. Okay. The second school says no, the law of the reason is the impossibility of the contradiction things comes together. Let's explain both of them, and I think both of them it's the same meaning. So what is the law of identity? So if I said this is Liam, so the law of identity is that this is Liam and it cannot be not Liam. It is Liam. Okay? So this is the law of identity. The thing is itself. Okay? The thing is itself. It's very basic and very obvious, right? The law of contradiction says, if I said this is Liam, so I am affirming something. I'm saying this is Liam. So the law of contradiction says the contradictions cannot come together. Only one thing can be true. They cannot be true together. And they cannot be false together. It has to be one true and one false. So the scholar said, okay, if we said a proposition or a statement, this is Liam, so I cannot say this is Liam and at the same time, at the same place, this is not Liam. It's impossible to be true. It's either this is Liam or not Liam. Or I can say, for example, Ahmed is speaking to you and at the same time, Ahmed is not speaking to you. This is when they come together, that's impossibility. So this is the first introduction of today's lesson. So we have law of reason, big law. And if you examined any science like physics, chemistry, medicine, programming, anything, you will not see one of the sciences all over the world that can say, no, the law of identity, it doesn't work in my field, or the contradiction, it doesn't work in my field. So this is the first thing. The second thing we need to know is We have something in Arabic, if you studied mantiq, liam, the logic, we have something, it's called proposition. What is this voice? So we have something, it's called proposition. What is a proposition? A proposition, it's a statement or a sentence that tells us something about something. And you can say that this proposition, this statement is true or false. Like, for example, if I said, Liam is smart. This is a proposition. Qadiyya. In Arabic, it's called qadiyya. Okay? So the proposition, you have to see three parts of it. What is this sound? Do you hear the sound of something? I don't know. نعم جميل. So the first, it's called object. In Arabic, it's called موضوع. Object. And you tell something about this object. I don't know what does it called in English, to be honest, but in Arabic, it's called mahmul. Okay, so you like carry this on this, like tell something about something, or tell something about someone. So this is object, and this is maybe an adjective, or maybe it's not an adjective. Maybe it's another object, but eventually it's called, you make this relative to this. And the third part is this one. It's called the connection, or the النسبة, or the relative thing. Okay, this is making this relative to this. Okay, so now Liam is smart. So I have three parts: the object, and this part, which is mahmul, or the thing that I referred, that it belongs to the object, and the connection between them. This is make the connection. Okay, now this part of the connection, I say it's true or false. Okay, like the result of this proposition, I can say it's true or false by seeing the connection. So Liam is smart. Now I can imagine and I can understand, what does it mean? I mean I can understand that there is an essence, or human being, his name is Liam, and there is an adjective which is smartness, intelligence, and then the intelligence belongs to Liam, or the smartness. So I can understand Liam is smart. Now this is kind of knowledge, right? There is another type of knowledge which is you go outside and watch if this is true or false, like in the outside world. And then you go and examine if Liam is smart. So you say Liam is smart. If he's not smart, you say Liam is not smart. Okay? According to what? According to the law of the reason, which is identity, or the impossibility of contradiction comes together. طيب. Now this is introduction number 2. Introduction number 3. The judgments. The judgments. How to judge a proposition. So if I have Liam is smart, we said that the parts that we can judge is this part, or the relativity of this to this, okay? And the one that tells me this kind of relativity is this part, because I can say Liam is not. So you have to pay attention to the connectivity, this part, okay? So how we judge things, or how we judge these propositions. Okay. We say that the judgments, al-hukm, or to judge something, or to judge a proposition, we can say you can judge it if it's comes from someone or an essence, like someone put rules, okay? So if someone put rules that we need to follow, so this essence, or this one, if it's heavenly essence, so it's Allah or God, if it's Allah, so these judges are Sharia, or are the revelation. So I can say revelation. I mean, if I someone says you have to pray 5 prayers. This is a proposition. Okay? Now, how could I say this is true or false, or correct or wrong? I cannot, unless I know that this proposition is only being judged if I examine that there is God, and God has revealed something to us, and according to this, I can examine my proposition to this. And I say, yes, it's true, or no, it's wrong. I cannot understand it if I opened the American Constitution or the American Book of Law, right? It has to be from Allah, from revelation, because this is the nature of the proposition. Now, we have some another propositions that put by human beings. Sorry, judgments, not propositions. Human beings' judgments. Okay, like the laws, the law of France, the law of Great Britain, and these stuff. So, for example, there is a proposition says, if you own a company and the profits reach like 200% of your selling, you have to pay taxes like this amount of thing. You cannot tell unless there is someone put these judgments, okay? Like judge these propositions, okay? So judges can be put by some essence, some essence, maybe Allah or the human being, or not. We have judgments that is not put by someone. Okay? In this case, it divided into two parts again. If it's just 1 second. Okay, so at this part, the thing that judges the proposition, either the reason or the habits, or the normalcy, the normal thing, the habits. Okay? Let's explain the habits first. Look, if I like like Immanuel Kant, it's a philosopher. They said that when the time comes 7 p.m. or 7 a.m. sharp, he goes down to the street and start walking. Okay, and he used to do this for 20 years. Now, he used to do this 20 years, and I can see him. Now, the next morning, I can judge and say that the proposition that says Emmanuel will come down to the street to have a walk at 7 a.m. This is true. According to what? According to habits. Okay? But this is some kind of habits that can not be true, because there is like human factor that works. So he may be sick, he may be like changed his mind, popped up like this. But there are something that is not human, that we don't see these factors, which is the nature. For example, every time we boil the water, it boils at the 100 degrees Celsius. Okay? So how we are sure, or how can we tell that this is true every time? It's because we repeated this experiment of boiling a water like millions of times. So there's at the normal condition, there is no changes. Okay, so this is called also habits or experimental judgment. Okay, حكم عادي, according to what we see repeated in our daily life. And the other part, which is reason. This reason, it tells you something. It tells you this thing is necessary or impossible, or it's like possible. Okay, I mean, if I like have a preposition like saying, look, I have a preposition saying this is Liam and this is not Liam at the same time. So according to this judgment, he says this proposition is impossible. He cannot be Liam, and he cannot be Liam and not Liam at the same time. It's impossible. Okay? And if I said, for example, it can be if I said, for example, this is liam, this is, or let's say, yeah, water boils at 100 degrees. Okay. So is it impossible? Of course not. It is boiling at 100 degrees. Okay. Is it necessary to be at this? Now, how could we tell this is necessary or not necessary? According to the law of the reason, the first introduction, we said that we come back to the law of identity or the law of contradiction. So when I say water boils at 100 degrees, you want to examine this proposition to tell, is it necessary or impossible, or it is possible. In order to examine this, you ask yourself, if the water not boiled at 100 degrees, it will cause a contradiction, reasoning contradiction. So immediately you tell yourself, it's necessary to be at this form. Okay? If it's not making any contradiction, yeah, it will, like, the law will change, but there will not be contradiction. The logical contradiction. Like we said, liam is exist and not exist. So this is a contradiction. Now, when I say water boils at 100 degrees, is it necessary? Is there anything, if it changed like 200 degrees, will it cause any contradiction? If no, خلاص, you say this is not necessary, it is possible. It is possible that we see according to reason, okay? It is possible to see that water boils at 100 degrees, okay? So this is the reasoning. Reasoning is a very big, wide circle that controls our life. Now, let me ask you something. These judges. Okay. So these judges, we have 4 judgment to judge a proposition. We can judge according to the country law, or like heavenly law, like revelation, sharia, like Islam. You look to the Islam, or Judaism, or Christianity. You can look to the sharia or the revelation and the right or wrong, and you can put your judgment, and you can judge according to the experiment or habits, which is called حكم العادة, and you can judge according to the reason. And scientific. So there is a question. Can you say this question, Liam?
Yeah. The things that are ruled as, I guess, being necessary scientifically, so that if you drop an apple, it will hit the floor. Is it correct to say that any of these things that are proven purely by al-Kharidah could only ever be possible rationally and not necessary?
Look, so is it correct to say that all scientific empirical laws would be logically possible and not necessary because they are from the section of habits? If you are talking physically, yes. But if you are talking mathematics, no. Mathematics is one of these sciences that is like, it's always true. Like if we are talking in some kinds of mathematics, but there are some probability. The mathematics works with probabilities, so it's probable, it's possible to be this or this. But mathematics is a part of reasoning. But yeah, scientific like medicine, chemistry, physics, yes, it cannot be, it's possible, okay? If you mean this. Jazakallah khairan. Now, let's just we need to talk more about the reasoning, or the judgment with reason, judging with reason. We say that it divided into 3 parts. Okay, I can say that this thing is necessary or impossible or possible. Okay, now let's give an example of necessary things. If I said 1 + 1 equals 2, is it necessary or not necessary? Someone answer me. Someone open the mic and answer me.
That is correct.
It is correct, but is it possible or necessary? Like, is it possible somehow to see 1 + 1 equals 3 or other than 2?
I mean, it depends on your system of counting.
What's your field, or what's your major?
I studied architecture, but I like math. So if it's decimal system, 1 + 1 equals 2, which is, I would guess, in your terms, necessary. But if it's binary, it equals 10.
Exactly. But yeah, so it's according to the system you work in. Exactly. But by defining the decimal system, can I say 1 + 1 doesn't, like, if you work with binary, so doesn't equal 10? Is it possible? It's impossible, right?
Not possible.
Yes. So with a decimal system, 1 + 1 always, it has to be 2, right? After defining our system. طيب, if I said, for example, working with a decimal system also, I'm calculating something. If we said 5,604 multiplied by 3.2. Can any one of you tell me the answer without calculating it with a calculator? Okay, let me tell you the answer. It's 1,873,4,7.6. Okay, this is the answer. Look, if we have this multiplied by this, it is necessary to give us this. But let me ask you something. You can calculate this, but it will take you time to think. It will take you time to think. However, 1 + 1, it is necessary also to equal 2. However, it doesn't take you time to think. So we say that the necessity is divided into two parts. Something that is badihi. What does it mean, badihi, in English? Like easy to tell. Can you help me, Leah? Is it axiom? But by axiom, badihi is like axiom. I don't know, what does it mean, badihi. So something, it's easy to reach to the judgment, and something takes you time to think. Okay, this is necessity. Now, the impossibility. If I said 1 plus 1 equal 3, so this is impossible, right? And if I said like the same equation but different answer, it will impossible. The judgment is impossible. So also we have the impossibility divided into two parts. Some judgments easy to reach the results, and some others it needs you time to think, and you can tell no, this result is impossible. And also the possible things. You can say, for example, yeah. Now, how can we? Is it true that this also divided into two sections, like section that easy you can tell that this is possible to be this or anything else, and to be think, like for example, the water boils at 100 degrees. We agreed that according to philosophy, this proposition, it's possible. It's possible to be to be 100, and it's possible to change according to reason. But according to the empirical system, it has to be repeated. But we are talking about reasoning. Is there any contradiction if this law changed? We say no. So it's possible. Now, by doing this, it's easy to tell, right? But there are some proposition that takes you time to think, is it possible or not possible? Like if I said a proposition that says a Muslim guy that is very good person and doing good deeds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can punish him in the hellfire. This proposition is possible. Okay? But how is it possible? You stop and ask yourself, how is it possible? How is it even possible? So you start to read the arguments, and then you say, yes, it is possible eventually. But it takes you time. It takes you time to think to this proposition. So all of these judgment that we are going to work with in Aqidah, and in this course in this book we study, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. Now let's go and read what we explained, and we stop at this, inshallah ta'ala. Liam, can you start to read?
Just the English or Arabic and English?
No, the English ones.
Okay. The categories of rational judgment are most certainly necessity, then impossibility, then possibility, which is the third of the categories. So understand, you have been granted the gift of understanding. And it is a religious obligation for the mukallaf to know Allah Most High, so know Him. To know what is necessary and impossible alongside what is possible for Him Most High. And likewise concerning the messengers of Allah, may His blessings be upon them all. What is rationally necessary is that which does not accept negation in and of itself, so call upon Him. And what is rationally impossible is that which does not accept affirmation, the negation of the first. And anything that accepts both negation and affirmation is possible without a doubt.
Okay, just a second. Because okay. Now read the proposition al-Qadiyyah.
A proposition, qadiyya, is a statement affirming one thing to another or negating it from it. Examples of propositions include God exists, which is a proposition affirming existence to God. Zayd is not standing, which is a proposition negating the state of being standing from Zayd. The standards that are used to judge the truth or falsity of propositions are three: revelation, sharia. In this case, the judgment is said to be a revelational judgment. Normalcy, ada. In this case, the judgment is said to be a gnomic judgment. And reason, aql. In this case, the judgment is said to be a rational judgment. If a judgment cannot be reached except by appealing to revelation, then the judgment is said to be a revelational judgment, hukm shari'a. For example, affirming that the daily prayers are obligatory. The validity of revelation as a standard of judgment obviously depends on the truth of Islam. If a judgment can be reached by means other than revelation, then either this judgment requires repeated experimentation or not. If yes, then it is said to be a gnomic judgment, hukm adi. For example, affirming that fire burns wood, which is known by virtue of repeatedly observing fire burn wood upon contact. If a judgment requires neither an appeal to revelation nor observation, then it is said to be a rational judgment, hukm aqli. That is the judgment of this portion of the Kharidah.
Yes. So we're going to work with hukm aqli, with the reasoning. And look, now if we are talking by the reasoning, not even the scientific judgment or the hukm adi, the one that uses the repeated things, repeated experiment. So imagine how we are sure about the results we reach, because it's impossible to be other than wise. Then this is the beauty of logic and the beauty of thinking logically. Now, what is a rational judgment? Continue.
A rational judgment is one where the proposition is judged according to the law of identity. To perform a rational judgment, one considers what it means for the subject of the proposition to be itself, with respect to what is being affirmed or negated from it. Judgment then depends on whether or not an absurdity entails from affirming the relation. I think there's a question.
Sorry?
I think there's a question in the chat. I can read it out.
Yeah, sure. Read it.
Judgment is either religious / creed / sharia. One is scientific and one is philosophical.
No, say again, and let me check that. So judgment is either religious, creed, sharia. Okay. One is scientific. No. Look, we said something. Look, the rules. Look, if I have a book like this, just one second. if I have a book like this and it tells me what to do, or if you did something that is wrong and that's correct. So if it's from Allah, from God, so it's revelation. It's if it's not, so it's from human being, which is the law we see. Now, I don't care if it's like true or false or no. I just tell you the division, okay? The other part, if it's not put by someone, if you are judging, so if the human being observe a proposition and judge it, he will judge it according to either two things. Either reasoning, he can say it's impossible, or it is necessary to be like this, or it is possible to be either this or this. Okay, this is according to reason. Or he can say, for as long as we did millions of experiments, so million plus one, so this one will be the same result. This is called experiment. It's all about physics and chemistry and these stuff. We can wake up from our beds and see that water boils at 200 degrees, not 100 degrees. Okay, so this is how it is. Is it clear now?
Sort of. I believe I was trying to reach the same point. One, though, I guess I did it more crudely. Some things are, I guess, internal, and some things are external, as in imposed by human or by Allah.
Exactly.
Things that are internal, you either do observe it scientifically, you reach the conclusion via reasoning, which is why I meant by philosophical. So, like, a lot of philosophical theory is just thinking. It's a way of thinking that reaches a conclusion.
Thinking according to Allah. What is the law? For as long as it doesn't make any contradiction, so it can be this or this. If there is a contradiction, now you can say it is necessary to be like this, or it is impossible to be like this.
And then the other thing that I was struggling to understand is so things that are possible and things that are impossible and things that are necessary. So necessary things are inherently completely true. Things that are impossible are inherently completely untrue. Things that are possible are capable of being both?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay, let's continue. Continue, Liam.
A rational judgment is one where the proposition is judged according to the law of identity. To perform a rational judgment, one considers what it means for the subject of the proposition to be itself, with respect to what is being affirmed or negated from it. Judgment then depends on whether or not an absurdity entails from affirming the relation. For example, an even number is an integer that is divisible by 2. Being divisible by 2 is therefore true about an even number by virtue of what it is. Thus, the proposition, even numbers are divisible by 2, is true by rational necessity. You do not need to check all even numbers to determine their divisibility by 2, nor do you need to resort to probabilistic generalizations based on the repeated testing of some even numbers. Rather, you know that even numbers are divisible by 2 by merely understanding what it means for an even number to be what it is. Categories of rational judgment. The categories of rational judgment are 3. The necessary, that which does not accept negation in of itself. In other words, that which cannot be false by virtue of what it is. For example, the divisity of even numbers by 2, or the fact that the part of a body is smaller than its whole. The impossible, that which does not accept affirmation in of itself. In other words, that which cannot be true by virtue of what it is. It is the negation of the first category. For example, The indivisibility of even numbers by 2 is a rational impossibility because its negation, the divisibility of even numbers by 2, is a rational necessity. The part of a body being larger than its whole is a rational impossibility because its negation is a rational necessity. And the possible, that which accepts both negation and affirmation. In other words, that which accepts being either true or false by virtue of what it is. No absurdity follows from supposing either. For example, your death or the death of someone you know occurring tomorrow. This is neither necessary nor impossible by virtue of what it is.
Okay, so let's stop here, inshallah. And next time we will explain. It's very easy, accountability. But today's lesson is very important because it's all about it. The philosophy, all the philosophy, all the aqidah, and this is it. So thank you for being patient, and inshallah see you the next week. Jazakumullah khairan.
جزاك الله خير. السلام عليكم.
Wa alaikum salam.